How good is season 15? Or is it just as bad as well as the other seasons like 12 and 20? I have not ranked 20 yet, but we are going to be ranking season 15. I hope you enjoy. Alright, let's start off with our very first episode of season 15. Let's go. Gordon and Ferdinand is not a very good start. This is probably one of the dumbest episodes. I love the episodes that has the logging locos, but I do not like the fact how stupid Gordon was this entire time. He doesn't want to be with a logging loco. I mean, the line of Sordor returns, but that doesn't make up for an episode that has to be further down. This really doesn't. I'm sorry, but it doesn't. This is probably one of the weakest ones I've had to see. The scenes are the same. There are no good settings. I mean the Money Marsh doesn't make up for it. The crash is just box-sided and it's like bland or something. I don't know what I'm seeing though. That's the hardest part and a big problem as well. It's a shame too. I don't know what to make up for. Well, at least we've tried our best to think about what this episode is about. Let's move on. Alright, we got Toby and Bash. This is a favorite. Toby and Bash is the greatest Logging Loco episode. But it's not the best, though. The reason I put this there is my number 7 character, Toby the Tram Engine. We're having a day with Bash. Even though with Gordon and Ferdinand, they each get a reward for being really useful on Sir Topham Hatt's railway. I mean, Bash gets emotional over seeing his friends away because he really wants to get back to his home in Misty Island. I mean, Toby was trying to find a place for Bash to stay and to rest there. Tried on a farm, then in a pond, and way up on the mountain right by the search and rescue center. Oh, come on. I know this episode doesn't make up for it. But we got good episodes later on that are much better. But I don't explain this whole thing. And that's a problem. I don't know how else I'm going to say this one. Let's move on. Oof. Emily and Dash is one I'm not so interested with. The beginning is so fantastic, and the warbly whistles thing is so hilarious, but the rest of it is so dumb. I mean, Dash breaks down for running out of fuel. OMG. We have never seen this one. Oh boy, I wonder what I have seen all day. It's just one freaking day of the logging locos running out of fuel like they did on Misty Island Rescue. But this time, it's Dash. Oh my gosh, what a coincidence. What a coincidence that is. I do not think this episode should be higher up. Hiro returns, and that's not a good thing. He just says that Emily's face is very, very different. Like, that is so rude of him to say that. I can't believe he would do something that could have gotten him in trouble, but he didn't. And he was going to tell that to Sir Topham Hatt. That's the weirdest one. And the worst part of them all. It's a shame, though. I don't care much. Let's move on. Alright, now we got Percy's new friends. I still don't care about this episode much. The beginning is fantastic. The setting is great, but the rest of it is not much as well as I thought. I mean, Percy scares away the animals. Like, oh my gosh, that is the most outrageous thing to do. I can relate with Percy because he is so lonely that he does that, and that the engines don't want to play with him because they have jobs to do. But Gordon thundering through, I'm not sure about that though. There's not even an episode that is higher than this. It's a shame though, but I have to risk this. I do not think this episode should be higher on the list. It's a shame because I didn't realize this in my entire life. And I feel emotional over that. Not to mention weird, as I didn't remember this. Too much time to figure. And I conflict over Percy being lonely since Gordon thunders passing Percy, scaring him. I mean, why would he do that? I don't know what to say. I just want to move on so I don't have to listen to this. I relate to Edward the Hero. This beats Toby and Bash all the way, but it's not the absolute best. There are episodes that are way better than this. Edward the Hero features Edward as the main character. Oh boy, we finally get an episode of him. I mean, I love this episode more than the others. I relate to Edward's emotion over being kind, funny, and gentle. Won't be like so strong, sturdy, or even like fast. That's what it is. Fast, strong, sturdy. Instead, he just becomes kind, gentle, and funny. I mean, I relate to him about like Edward telling Charlie a joke, Edward finding Dowager Hat's bag at Knapford, and Farmer McCall's dog left on the field. That is the saddest part, if I ever say this, in my opinion. And I can relate this episode to being really sad. I get emotional over this episode. And it's so sad. Who cares? This episode is fantastic and beats this all the way. But I don't know what beats this one. We still have more episodes that are way higher than this. And I don't know how I'm going to convert this one, though. Other than that, this episode is fantastic. And the better ones so far. Let's move on. James to the Rescue is another one. I do not think this episode should be higher, though. But I don't... This is another mediocre one. It doesn't belong in the bad tier. But I do not feel like this episode has to be more thoughtful than I thought. I can't risk having that happen. I do not feel like this any longer. I mean, James is stupid by not listening to Toby's advice. Like, come on, Rocky's much stronger than James. He couples up to Gordon and makes him have his driving wheels off the rails. And pushing Gordon that got the track crumbled in the marsh in the Fenland. And then it ends up in the water with James after giving him a great push. And got his paint all wet and muddy. Well, at least James learned his lesson and became a rescue engine with him after all. I mean, why was James so rude in the beginning to Toby? I mean, the fact is that Toby said that Sir Topham Hatt wanted him to be a rescue engine with him. Don't get me wrong though, but this one doesn't belong in the good tier. This is much worse and I did not realize that. And, yeah, I don't care. Time to move on. Well, Happy Hero is much better. And it goes there. This is a much better episode. But this time, Hiro is not actually the main character. It's Thomas this time. We finally get an episode of Thomas being the main character for this. I can believe myself over this. He's been the star for this many episodes, I thought. And I can feel it. I don't know how emotional this gets. Hiro is sad because he misses his home in Japan. But Thomas tries to cheer him up, though, and to make him happy. First, Charlie tells Hiro a joke, but instead of laughing, Hiro said this: "Thank you, Charlie." That just doesn't help that much. It's a shame, though. I mean, that joke wasn't that funny, but to him, it kind of was, though. But honestly, I prefer this one over Ho-Ho Snowman, because this episode does not compare much, like in the winter visuals. And it's not a good thing, though. I have reasons, and I have problems about this episode being further down. Ah, well, it gave it all it's got. This is the perfect timing for friendship, but Up and Away is a bad one. I don't know how stupid Thomas is in this one. I mean, the fact is that he didn't want to upset his best friend Percy. It's like not much fun, and a very boring one as well. I mean, I relate to this one in Day of the Diesels because Percy thought Thomas betrayed him because for being with Belle, and I understand, and that's what makes this movie so amazing. But I cannot relate this one. It's a shame because I have no interest over this one. Ugh, I relate this one to be weird, but there's nothing I can do about this one. How hard is it? It's not that good. I cannot risk having that. And it's a shame too because I lost my hope over this one. This is so sad. Whatever, it's not a good one. Mr. Bubbles returns, but that doesn't make the episode higher. I'm so surprised that Henry's Happy Cole goes there. This episode does make it okay, but this is a good one. Henry is the main character in this one because he doesn't want to be made fun by Ari and Bert. The railway coal inspector is really good in this one, but I do not know about the rest though. That's great visuals though. Henry's special coal is kind of dumb, but kind of hilarious to see that lots of black smoke comes out of his funnel. That's because he uses the regular coal instead of the special coal. I relate to him over this. I get emotional over him. And I couldn't even resist having to take quick tours around Sodor. Like the Sodor Search and Rescue Center, the Steamworks. Never mind. There's nothing else I can say about this one other than it's kind of great. And a good one to this. But nothing else makes it that bad. Well, that was all worth but nothing. At the very least, though, I feel like this episode should have been higher than that, but it's not. That's okay, though. We still have more to go. Let It Snow is another amazing one. But because of that, Thomas and his friends are back on Misty Island. Yeah. Yes. Oh boy, that made me laugh a bit. I know a lot of fans hate the logging locos, even in Misty Island. Doesn't relate that? Then that's a huge problem. I get related to this one, and there's no positive attitude over this. It's just how weird it gets. It's just so weird that I have no interest with this doubtful episode. Well, that all was that for nothing. All that was there for nothing, and we managed to get this all the way through. Well, it was fun while it lasted, though. I mean, the visuals on Misty Island are amazing, but waiting for snow to come down is pretty dumb. I mean, shouldn't Thomas manage to get his job with Gordon? Because Gordon did not even like going to Misty Island, though. He's seen the logging locals before, like in the movie. Misty Island Rescue. This doesn't make sense. But I place it higher than Henry's Happy Coal. But I do not relate this one to be amazing. Whatever. It was not a good way to have this over. And it's a shame too, because I don't think I relate this one. It feels like it's worth it, but it's not. I cannot relate this one. If the winter visuals in the beginning were great, then so are my visuals at... Nah, I don't have any visuals. I'm just a character, or a human, whatever I am. Maybe I'm kind of weird. Whatever. Let's move on to this next episode. Whoever watches Surprise Surprise? This is a boring and bland episode. Thomas is an idiot throughout the entire one to have a surprise for him with Steamworks. Even though Percy, Edward, and Stanley might have missed going to the children's party. But Victor can't even fix 3 engines at the same time. Percy has a cracked coupling rod, Edward's pistons are popping, and Stanley has something wrong with his firebox. I cannot understand that. But throwing a party at the Steamworks is a great idea. Oh, and one more thing. Charlie ended up falling off the rails because Thomas bumped into him. I mean, I like the Steamworks in this one, but I do not like the fact how stupid this entire show was. It's my favorite show of all time, but not in this season, though. The classic series are way better. The model series are way better, but I do not know about the CGI, though. CGI episodes do not make up for it. They don't have any energy to go for. Ugh. What a weird way to end this off. But other than this one, it's not a good one. That's a shame, though. I let this one down. Whatever, let's move on. Spencer the Grand is a great one. But it's above Henry's Happy Coal. Spencer just wants to find the Sodor summer house. But instead he goes to the wrong places, like going to the waste dump, the quarry, and even back at Tidmouth Sheds. I mean, like, I do not think he would ever try going to the Duke and Duchess's summer house in this foggy weather. The foggy visuals are great, but seeing Spencer trying to find his way home is pretty dumb. Do not get me wrong, I don't like this. I don't like season 15 at all. It has some very bad episodes in this one. But I do not know how I'm going to relate this one. And I think I might have let it down, though. The visuals are great. The setting and foggy visuals are great. But the rest doesn't make up for it. And when Spencer finds Percy in the fog and gets lost, he helps him find his way to Tidmouth Sheds by buffering up to him. I mean, like, all the engines are like, they feel like they're worried for Spencer. And I relate this episode to be very, very emotional. But nothing beats this episode at the top of the great tier. Let's move on. And I hope this episode gets much an improvement there. Because something else locates on Misty Island. Alright, I kind of thought for sure it wasn't going to work much. Stop That Bus is an okay one. You finally get one in the okay tier, but nothing beats this one. I mean, Bertie the Bus wants to have a tour around Sodor instead of just being on road. Because you always see trains just running on tracks. On rails. And I relate to him because I feel like I wanted to go on a tour on a subway. Like, this would be much more fun if I was on a subway than in a car. Because I don't know how long this trip would be lasting if I was on vacation. How hard does it get? Not so good. This is an episode I do not have any interest with. And this episode doesn't make up for it. The setting in Misty Island is great, but I do not think about how much this episode does cost. Only the episode that costs much is the visuals. And the plot of this episode. That's so stupid. The crash is not good at all. And especially Down With Your Hat in this one. But for saying Thomas causing confusion and delay on Misty Island when Bertie's trying to take a tour of Sodor before really collecting the important visitors. Like, just take him back on the road. You don't even have to try and get him to take a tour around Sodor. That's stupid. Yeah, well, it was fun while it lasted, though. It was fun while it lasted there. But I do not have an issue with this episode. But except for the visuals and the plot of this. Martin Sherman did a good job voicing Thomas, but USA has more predictions and more energy voices than the UK ones. Oh yeah, Stuck on You. This is not much better, if I get this silly old thing out of there. I do not know how many times it has only been wasting there. Stuck on You is a good one, but not enough to be in the great tier. Too much time for the visuals to understand with this one. I do not think how much unworth this episode is. And I lose hope of this one. The fact is that Butch is finally back in character, though. But except the fact he does not even listen to what Victor says about that magnet that he has on his crane. I mean, losing the poles to the sea, a wheel straight into Rocky, and getting the magnet finally working that's sticking on Thomas's number one. OMG, I do not know about this episode as much as I remember. That is clearly not a very good one. I mean, the beginning is great, but the visuals is so ugly. I mean, the other engine's laughing at Thomas for having a magnet stuck to his number one on the other side. Man, they're just being jerks, for real. I do not think this episode should be related. Well, we get Big Belle as the main character, but I do not like this one. Big Belle is an idiot. Belle is the main character. It's kind of like a bell. Yeah, but Belle is the main reason that she just wants to try and make friends with Toby the Tram Engine, even though she's never met him before. Only for a simple reason is that Belle wants to do things her way. But Toby just gets so scared and hides in the siding, in the bushes. Belle just gets ashamed of herself. But in the end, Belle let Toby do his ways. I get relieved over this one, but this episode doesn't make up for it. This is such a dumb one, and I do not think this episode should be related anymore. It's a shame too, because I thought this episode would spend more time on it. And I do not think this episode has more. This gets really, really unfair. I get so emotional over seeing Toby. I mean, what is with Belle's ideas? This is not a good one. I cannot relate this one. This is not new. This is something very dumb to see. I know for the fact Belle just doesn't even get the chance to listen to Toby. Racing down at the bottom of the hill. You could have just let Toby take a chance to slow his I don't know. I don't want to say it. You could have just slowed down instead of just going too fast around the hill. I mean, what is with Belle's stupid ideas? Whatever. I do not understand about this one. Let's move on. This wasted too much time on Kevin the Steamie. I do not like this one. Kevin is the main character of this one, so that's better. But it's only enough to beat it since we needed a crane as the main character. I mean, Rocky was one of the main characters from Rocky Rescue in Season 19. But I'm not through it yet. I am totally not through it yet. That's a shame, though. I mean, Thomas and Percy having fun with their flatbed of oil. That I do not understand. Like an oil drum, I do not think this episode should be higher than that. How stupid is it? I'd say this one is super stupid. OMG. How on earth is it bad? This is pretty bad. This is stupid. Wish I could say it myself, but I can't. Well, all of that was nothing. Let's just move on. I do not think Wonky Whistle should be in the good tier. It's the worst episode. I'm thinking so badly. It's worse than Gordon and Ferdinand. And I have no relief over this one. To me, it's not a good one. I mean, what are with the odds about Thomas? He's an idiot the entire time. He just gets impatient to have his whistle fixed. And then is getting extremely wonky with it. That's what his whistle should have sounded like. But instead, it just gets all wonky. It scares away every single one of them. I mean, who let this tank engine be the main character? They just get everything dumb. Oh my goodness. I do not think this episode should be high on the list. That's a shame, though, because this episode was only written by the Sharon Miller. And it's not a good reason, too. I don't know how dumb this gets. And very forgetful, too. I mean, the writers took so long to make a production for this one, but they never got to pull it off. That is a shame, though. I would have said it myself, but I didn't. And I do not think this episode should be high. It goes in the bottom so far. I can't believe it. Can this one be worse than this? I wonder. Such a shame for Percy the Snowman, but it's not any better. Percy the Snowman is the weakest Percy episode. I mean, what is with the main purpose of Percy being the one that doesn't even get a lot of jobs finished? I mean, Thomas was trying to help him. I mean, his best friend got covered in snow because he didn't even notice Percy was still in that sighting this whole time. This is a weak episode, and the dumbest Percy one so far. It's a shame, too, because this one didn't get enough time to think. Ugh, I gotta think about this carefully. This episode sucks. But it's not at the bottom so far. Right now, this one doesn't make up for it. Well, all that there was nothing. One of the dumbest ones I've seen all day. And probably the weakest so far. I can't believe it. We finally get another episode. Tree Trouble is the best episode. The best episode by far in season 15 is Tree Trouble. The visuals on this one are brilliant. It's so amazing. This episode inspires my whole time when Christmas comes up. And it reminds me back with Thomas and the Diesels having a competition to see who gets the best Christmas tree. I mean, what's with the visuals? They just get their hopes down by getting their trees smashed. That's mostly on Thomas, not the Diesels. Diesel, Dead, and Dart were in this one, but they weren't the main ones. They were just following Thomas all the way to Misty Island. I mean, who lets the Diesels have a Christmas tree? They just become so devious. Even the Diesels talking to Dowager Hat about this. And it's a shame because I do not have rights with this one. And I let it down so quickly. Whatever. All that was there for nothing. And I've let this one down. Whatever. On to the final one. Ugh. Fiery Flynn is another dumb episode. What is with Flynn these days? Flynn is just so stupid because he does not listen to see who that blue engine was. He thought it was Edward when it wasn't. He thought it was Gordon, but it wasn't. And found the reason it was Thomas. His firebox was on fire. Bro, they should have had their fireboxes checked. But instead, Flynn gets help from the Diesels. I mean, what kind of job were they doing? They just get a chance to have mischief all over. OMG, that is the dumbest way for me to sort this out. I do not think this episode should be higher than that. The visuals are dumb. The setting is brilliant. But the episode as a whole is not good. Not good at all. Flynn just doesn't even listen. And it's a shame, too. Ugh. Finally get a freaking character in this one. A fire engine. A fire engine is finally the main character of this goodness gracious episode. If I had my webcam on, then this would not have happened. This gets really dumb. I can't even realize this plot. Well, I guess none of this would have happened if The plots didn't take as much time as I thought. And it's a shame, too, because I have no right with this episode. This should have been much higher on the list, but no! The writers just made it look so dumb. And I think this episode is not a good one. One of the worst fire ones so far. I mean, what is with the main concept? A fire engine is the main character? That's cool. And really dumb. Well, that's all the rankings from where I placed them. Alright, let's go through them one by one. Starting off with, at number 20, Wonky Whistle. This is the worst episode I've ever seen. Thomas is an idiot throughout the entire episode. Number 19 is Gordon and Ferdinand. Gordon is an idiot the entire time, even though the line of sorter comes back, which is a fine thing. Number 18 is Surprise Surprise. Thomas is also an idiot throughout the entire episode, but doesn't make up for the episode. Derails 4 other engines that needed to be fixed. Number 17 is Fiery Flynn. This is a dumb one. Flynn is the main character, is a good one, but the rest is boring. Number 16 is Up, Up, and Away. What are with the odds between Thomas and Percy's concept in this one? I can't feel the fact over this one. Number 15, we have Percy the Snowman. It's not a good one. How hard is it to have Percy in the snow? That's a shame. Number 14, we have Kevin the Steamie. This isn't any better. Kevin is the main character in this one, which we finally get, but the rest is dumb. The crashes are not even cool at all, spraying oil all over. Whatever, this is not worth it. Number 13 is Big Belle. Big Belle doesn't make up for it. Belle is the main character trying to make friends with a new engine, or trying to make friends with a tram engine. That concept does feel like it's not even good. Number 12, Emily and Dash. Emily's also an idiot throughout the entire time, trying to do the same thing the Logging Locos did in the beginning of the segment, playing their favorite game, Warbly Whistles. No, great. Number 11, James to the Rescue. What a dumb one. They should have had Toby as the main process, not James. That's a shame, though. I do not think I have rights with this one. Number 10, we have Percy's new friends. It's a shame. There's no right with this one. Number 9, Stop That Bus. Birdie the bus is in this one and wants to take it to her own soda, which is a great concept on this one, but it's badly executed. Number 8, Stuck on You. Butch is finally the main reason about his magnet, and we're fine with that. Number 7, Henry's Happy Cold. The visuals in this one are brilliant, and the railway inspector is the first to see about Henry's coal problems. Number 6, Spencer the Grand. Spencer is the reason he ends up in the fog. Number 5, we have Let It Snow. The snowy visuals in the beginning are amazing, but the rest of it is really good, but not that much. Number 4 is Happy Hiro. This is a pretty good concept for Hiro to be a character. Number 3 is Toby and Bash. Toby and Bash are a great one. Number 2, Edward the Hero. Emotional Edward just becomes kind, funny, and gentle, instead of the usual strong, sturdy, and fast. Number 1 is Tree Trouble, the best one so far, and the visuals are brilliant. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time for Season 16.